Hello, everyone. I'm Mark,
And I'm Rob.
and today we're going to talk about the overrating and the underrating of Caitlin Clark and why it's so extreme, and all the polarization involving Caitlin Clark. Welcome to Mark and Rob's Sports Showdown. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit that notification bell when you do, so you get notified of our next videos. So, Rob, everyone knows there's a lot of polarization having to do with Caitlin Clark for obvious reasons. It's
Right.
all been discussed before. I'm going to give you some examples of how she's been rated so far by different extremes, and we'll talk about what's reality.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of the negative things I've heard about her so far is we've covered this before is a one-trick pony, which of course is ridiculous. She's below average. She's playing like crap. She's a bust. I guess I could go on, but that's
Yeah.
enough to give you,
Yeah.
give you an example. She's a turnover machine, and she's always going to be a lousy player. She's has no really. She's never going to be a good player. She's slow. One person said she was too short to be a good defender when she's actually above average for a guard in height. So
Right.
that's funny. All sorts of things that she has all sorts of weaknesses that don't really exist. Now she has lots of weaknesses, just like every other player, but she probably has been more analyzed than any other player in WNBA history. So of course, the people are going to find more little weaknesses than in other players. Now, at the other extreme, I've seen a person say she was the best player in the league, and this was a YouTuber who's like a black guy who's 60, like 60. And then I saw another person say maybe she's an MVP candidate. He's a basketball coach. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's extreme to me. But I can see her being one of the best players in the league. But MVP, you know,
Mm, no.
I don't see that. But maybe if she had a different coach, she would have worked towards that, and that might have happened. But it's never going to happen with this coach, anyways. But my question is why is there such extremes here?
Well, I mean, you're going to get that in anything, and especially in sports, you're going to get that.
Not to
With
this degree,
players.
Rob.
But you're going to get. I mean, you're going to get. I mean, because she's under such a microscope when she before she even came into the league, she was already under a microscope. So then there's also expectations of what people think she should. I mean, people like you said, the extreme thought she was going to come in, average 30 points a game, just like she did in college, and go crazy when she got into the WNBA. Then, like you said, there's the other ones who are like, who care? Who is she? Why are they giving her all this attention? She's not even that great. So, I mean, it's always going to be like that.
Well, Rob, a lot of the players, people who are underrating her, and I can tell because they show the picture and the comments they make are black, and a lot of the YouTubers that are really underrating her are black. So I'm not saying it's racism. I'm just pointing that out. I'm saying it's a possibility, and
But there's
even
also, I'm
even
sorry,
put
Mark. I'm sorry. There's also a lot of black who are males, and some blacks who praising her too. So you have to be careful with that. I'm sure there is the comments that are done by the black women. It's mostly black women. I believe, are racist. I mean, they are the comments and the thinking are racist.
in the media,
Yeah.
it's black women. I'm telling you on YouTube, it's black males, and in the comments, it's both black women and black males.
Okay.
So that's my understanding from what I've seen. I'm not on Twitter, but I'm on YouTube, and I see excerpts from ESPN. Kind of watch. I don't watch them. I just see excerpts. I go to their website sometimes, but I don't watch First Take.
Mm.
But that's my take on what it is. So to me, almost all the people that I've seen that are underrating her are black. That's all I can say. I can't get into someone's head and know whether it's because they're they're upset that a white person gets so much publicity and is playing well in a black sport, predominant
Mm.
black sport, anyways. Like I don't know. If it's really extreme, I can figure it out. But sometimes people just don't like someone's style.
Yeah.
But
And then,
I've never
and then,
seen such a wide diversity of rating of someone's ability in the history of sports in my lifetime. Let's put it
and
that
then
way.
on the other side, you have the fans who are praising her and think she's the next coming to God. That she's going to be the best thing ever. Like you said, and they're mostly white, I guess.
I assume they are. Sometimes, like on comments on YouTube, people don't have their picture. Some people do. That's why I can tell you that some of the comments I've seen, the pictures of a black person in the comment. And I agree with you. I've seen persons put, she's the GOAT. Well, she might have been GOAT of college. Her last 2 years, she played unbelievable. But she's certainly not the GOAT in basketball or GOAT of the WNBA yet. And she's got a long way to go before she will be. First, she's got to win an MVP and a championship. And then she's got to sustain that for 10 to 20 years. So I've seen that too. I agree with you. Those are extremes that are the wrong way also. Go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
But with these two extremes, like you said, where can we, I mean, I think we're finding where the middle road part of this, being, like you said, what you've trying to teach people is to be objective on the whole thing, what has been going on. Not that, and bringing out facts, not using your emotions or hating on, hating the person for no reason. You got to find that middle ground, which I think we've both been doing.
Rob, yeah, that's my biggest objection to sports fans is that they're not objective. And my biggest objection to ESPN analysts, when they're not objective, they lose all credibility from me, because I think that's the most important thing to do when you're evaluating sports, either teams or players. And I'm not saying my objectivity is perfect, but I'm really aware of that. So I think I do better than most people. And you can just see how often I criticize Caitlin Clark, even though I'm a huge fan, and I still think she's a great player. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm being fair in that way. And it really bothers me when a person's on a network, not a YouTube, where people can do whatever they want for their YouTube channels. No one's paying them to, for their opinions. But when they're obviously biased and possibly racist, and they're not objective, I get offended by the fact that they're on TV giving those opinions to the public. Really?
Right.
I mean, especially the public sometimes.
Especially with, like you said, especially with sports, which, I mean, when you sit up there and, I mean, you can be a former, I mean, they usually have former athletes of certain teams, like with the Cowboys, whatever. Of course, that person might lean towards the Cowboys, but then they're going to be a little objective, like, well, maybe, the quarterback needs to do this and they need to do that. At least stick it in there, not just, oh, they're the best team, and not even just this blind to what they see in front of them. Especially with me, what bothers me, Mark, is that, like I said, I've said it before, is just the out and out, like you said, bias and hate and the hatred. And you can see the hatred coming out in these broadcasters and media for no reason, over no reason.
Right. Yeah. And Rob, I want to make it clear. I'm sure some white people are overrating her. I want to make that clear. So that's one of the reasons for the extremes. So I would consider that racist, but maybe not as intentional, but it is if you're overrating someone because they're the same race as you. So I want to make that clear. It's going both ways here. And I think that's the reason for the extremes. Also, some of her fans are new to basketball. So let's be honest about that. And they don't know the history of basketball, and they haven't watched enough basketball to know how good or not good she is, or how she compares with other players in the past. I don't know the whole history of the WNBA because I didn't watch a lot of it, but I studied it. I did my homework like they told me to before I could watch a game.
You're supposed to. That's right, Mark. You're supposed to do that.
They told me I had to know the whole history of the game before I could comment on it and analyze it. But I can't go back and watch it for 27 years. I did watch some of it, and I watched the players in the Olympics, and I watched them in college some. So I have some knowledge of that. But I didn't do as much homework as they wanted me to do, I don't think, Rob.
But with the new players, with the new fans, a lot of them are younger fans. And what I do like about the younger fans, they're not into the color thing. They're not into this Caitlin Clark, this white player. They're into Caitlin Clark, this basketball player. And she just happens to be white. So when they're talking with their friends, they'll be talking about Caitlin Clark, not that she's this white woman coming into a black sport, or supposedly a black person's sport. They don't care about that, that's why I like these new fans. You see the fans of different colors wearing her jersey. They don't give a crap about.
I know, I've seen it.
Yeah,
Little
so
black
I
girls running
mean,
around with the jersey, Caitlin Clark. I
yeah,
don't care that she's white.
they just care she's a basketball. She's a great basketball player.
Yeah. So, anyways, I just find it fascinating that this is the most polarizing and extreme example of rating a player in the
Yeah,
history of sports, or at least in my lifetime, that I've seen. It's not even close, to be quite
yeah,
honest. I can't think of anything like this.
no,
There's LeBron haters out there that underrate him because they don't like his personality, but not to that extreme. They may say, well, he's not in my top 10, which is, of course, silly, or wouldn't make my top 20. I've heard things like that, but they never said he sucked.
no, they'd be crazy to say. They'd be crazy to say that.
They never say he was average or he's playing like crap or anything like that. So I've
Right.
never seen anything like that, and I don't think I'll ever see anything like this for the rest of my life, to be quite honest.
And how long? And how long is this going to go on, Mark? I mean, like we did a video of the players are starting to come around and kind of accept her. Even her own players weren't really accepting her. Her own teammates were accepting her. I think hopefully this will eventually die down, and then people will just look at her as a basketball player, like the new fans are. That she's good basketball. That she's going to be a great basketball player. Just look at her that way.
Well, Rob, there's several scenarios that could take place here, depending on how she develops as a player. She may never become a super great player. She may never win championships. She may win one MVP and one championship. She may win several MVPs and several championships. If she does that, the haters, I don't know what they're going to say at that point. They're going to say she didn't deserve the MVP or she had good players around her. They're going to make up an excuse. But really, if she goes to the extreme in terms of developing herself as a player, they really are going to look silly if they say that. But at the same time, if she never wins an MVP and never wins a championship or something like that, then people like myself who think she's good enough to do that are going to say, well, I overrated her. But
And then they're gonna have the people that I told you so's. I told you.
Yeah, if she never wins an MVP or never wins a championship or things like that. The championship, that depended on your team. The MVP is more important. But generally the ones that win MVP, they had the best record in the league that year. And so that really means they're going to probably win a championship that year unless they choke in the playoffs. So that's been pretty consistent. Last year, even though A'ja Wilson didn't win the MVP, it was almost a three-way tie, and then she won 2 championships the last 2 years. She won it the year before when she won a championship. So anyways, I just find it interesting, and I'm disappointed in people that they can't be more objective in rating her ability levels. And I actually will say, to be fair, I find it very hard to rate her considering what she was up against that we've gone over in other videos, the obstacles she's been up against. So we'll see. We'll see how that changes as things lighten up or she gets a better coach and things of that nature.
Better teammates, better teammates too.
Right.
So.
I go over all the things, but I don't want to make it sound like we're making all those excuses. Because I actually think there were so many obstacles and what some people call excuses. I call them reasons when it's that many things. But we've gone over them and everybody knows what they are. So I don't want to duplicate them. I don't know. Let me know what you think. What is determining this extremism? Is it racism? Is it because she gets too much publicity? Which is definitely a possibility because, like I said before in several videos, no one deserved the amount of publicity she gets. She could be she could have the athletic ability of Michael Jordan as a female, and she still wouldn't deserve all the publicity she gets.
Right.
So she could have won 4 championships in college and had the Michael Jordan ability athletically, and she wouldn't deserve the publicity she gets. So let's make that clear. So I get that, and that's one of the reasons for the extreme. But I think there's, racism going on here. And I think that's why she gets underrated and overrated. I think it happens more often. She gets underrated. Blacks are upset that she's playing well in a white sport and that she gets the publicity. But that's me. And maybe it's because I'm white. I don't know. If that's the case. I could be wrong. I do think the fans, the Clarksy that Robs likes to call, do think she's going to be GOAT and going to dominate and stuff like that. But I didn't hear anyone seriously say she was going to be MVP this year or she was going to average 30 points and 15 assists this year. I didn't hear anyone really say that. So maybe some 15-year-old girl on Twitter, did or something like that. But like I said, how much do they know about basketball? Do you really take that seriously? Is that really fair to consider that a real opinion? So anyways, that's just my viewpoint. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you can tell me if I'm off base. I don't care. Just at least give me some logic behind it. So, Rob, anything else you want to say about this topic?
No, I think, I mean, it's a good topic to think about, like I said, with the ratings. And I agree with you. I can see it on YouTube and the X where people are doing that. But to have someone who's getting paid money to talk about sports also get into that and not even address it it turns me off also.
You mean be an NBA Rookie of the Year voter on their podcast, 50 minutes talk about that and not even mention Caitlin Clark? You mean something like that?
Yeah, Mark, I think I've seen that somewhere.
That's another example of an extreme. You know, they when they got the charter flights, they talked about getting the charter flights, and we all know it was because of Caitlin Clark. This one video, for 14 and a half minutes, they talked about getting the charter flights and why they got it, and they even referred to her, but they wouldn't say her name for 14 and a half minutes. So, I don't know. I'm just asking questions, Rob, when I see that.
Yeah, me too.
Black YouTubers, they're doing that. So I don't know, Rob. Anyway, let us know what you think. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and feel free to join us on our live shows, which are now 2 hours long Eastern time, 6 to 8 on Mondays, except for major holidays, except for the 2 weeks during the Olympics, because we're going to go live 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern time, because that's when it's going to be the marquee events, because it's live in Paris. So anyways, join us for those. And we're going to be live today. If you're watching this today, it's July 6th for the game against the New York Liberty at 1 o'clock on CBS. And we'll see you in the next video.
All right. Peace out.